Up next, Authentically Detroit welcomes guest host Kat Stafford and Drake Phifer of Urban Organic to discuss the 6th Annual Detroit Diaspora Day Party. But first, this week's hot takes from Bridge Detroit. In Detroit, Joe Biden touts progress for Black voters. Here are the facts. And reparative discussions consider how I-375 rebuild will honor historic Black neighborhoods. Keep it locked. Authentically Detroit starts after these messages.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyper-local perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit, by Detroiters, for Detroiters.
Hey, y'all, it's Orlando. We just want to let you know that the views and opinions expressed during this podcast episode are those of the co-hosts and guests and not their sponsoring institutions. Now, let's start the show. Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from Detroit's East Side at the Stoudemire inside of the East Side Community Network headquarters. We are a content partner to bridgedetroit.com. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Kat Stafford.
Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people in the city of Detroit. We want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. We are back at our studio inside the Stoudemire this week. Donna is out of town, so we invited our original third co-host, Kat Stafford, to join our growing team of guest hosts. Along with Kat, we have Drake Phifer of Urban Organic to discuss the 6th Annual Detroit Diaspora Day Party coming up this Memorial Day weekend. Kat, welcome back to Authentically Detroit.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again.
We're so happy to have you back home on the East Side.
Yes.
Drake Phifer, for the first time ever, and I'm ashamed to say it. Welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Thank you, Orlando. Thank you, Kat. It is so awesome to be here in the Stoudemire, the namesake of our, long looming friend who unfortunately passed on way too soon, but whose work reverberates still, even in his absence.
Hey, man, talk about Marlo, man, and your relationship with him.
Man, my relationship with Marlo. Marlo, there's funny because, I looked up to Marlo, although I'm older than Marlo, and Marlo looked up to me. It was one of those semiotic kind of relationships. It's like, how do you look up to your little brother? But that's kind of how it was. And he looked up to me, and we would pick each other's brains all the time about different ideas. I mean, most folks don't know how much of a creative Marlo was.
They don't.
Marlo was, he was
as
always
much as visioning.
He was always visioning. As much as he was into, politics and business, he was into the cultural arts. He loved art. He was, beginning to collect art.
He was talking a lot about that lately.
He had just bought his DJ controller, and he had already done one of our DJ Selector series, and had bricks. He was serious too. He went in.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say he went in, he went in. I mean, Marlo was sweating up a storm after he was done. I said, man, you look like you were in a. Because
he always was so serious, but he would get so nervous. That was the thing that would blow my mind. He'd be like, Orlando, how you don't be so nervous? And I'm like, you're you? What are you talking about, bro? You're you. Kat Stafford, how's the day finding you?
Good. I was just telling Orlando that I just came from a career day at Fisher Lower Magnet Academy, where I spoke to 4th graders about what I do. And it was just so exciting to see them excited about journalism and showing them that here's another career pathway that you could do. You could do anything you want to do. So
you can't dream about what you've not been exposed to.
Exactly.
And journalism is one of those industries that needs a really serious pipeline of talent, but specifically a Black pipeline of talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So speaking of little black boys and girls about
Oh,
journalism,
yeah.
showing them pictures of you and the presidents, that's something
Yep.
they never gonna forget. They're never gonna forget that. It's a beautiful day, y'all, here in the city of Detroit. And for hot takes in Detroit, Joe Biden touts progress for black voters. Here are the facts. This is by Simon Schuster at Bridge, Michigan. President Joe Biden made his case to black voters on Sunday, touting gains of minorities under Democratic presidents and slamming the record of his likely opponent, Donald Trump. Speaking at the Detroit branch NAACP's Fight for Freedom Fund dinner at Huntington Place, Biden promised to fight to expand voting protections and civil rights. The Democrat also contrasted his record with the Republican Trump, whose campaign had been explicit about targeting black voters in Michigan and elsewhere. Biden's visit comes as he trails Trump in polls in Michigan and works to muster enthusiasm among African Americans, traditionally one of the Democratic Party's strongest constituencies. But outside of Huntington Place was evidence of crosswinds facing Biden's campaign, as roughly 100 pro-Palestinian protesters protested in the administration's support of Israel. Before the NAACP speech, Biden spoke at a private gathering inside the Creed Cafe in Detroit, where he spoke for about 4 minutes and said Trump wants to end all the progress we've made. Janiyah Thomas, the Trump campaign's black media coordinator, told the Detroit News that Biden was on a pandering tour because he knows what we all know. Without the black vote, there is no Democratic Party. Oh, I got some stuff to say about this, but Kat, my mama raised me right. What say you?
You're gonna make me start.
Yeah.
Well, so now that I'm at Reuters as the global race and justice editor, one of the
Say
things
it.
that
Where you at? Where you at? Again?
Reuters global race and justice editor.
And she mean that.
So one of the things that I've been doing this year is helping our team plan for the election, and my focus is really specifically on black voters and other voters of color. And what my reporters are hearing on the ground, what I'm hearing from people in Detroit is people are not that enthused as they were in 2020, and that Biden has a lot of work to get those black voters in particular back into the fold.
What does he need to do?
Well, a lot of black folks are feeling left out right now. The focus has been, and rightly so, on Gaza and everything that's happening there, but people can't put food on the table. People are struggling to find jobs. There are all of these
Inflation
things.
is a mug.
Inflation, health inequities, black maternal crisis, all of these things happening, and they're like, where's our attention? We're not seeing you. Where are you in our community? So, you have the president come here, speak at NAACP, and people are like, that's great, but it's not enough. So how does Biden fix that? That's the question. But that doesn't mean black people are going to go vote for Trump. That's not going to happen. That just means people might not come out and vote at all. And I think that's a very important distinction for journalists to make.
Yes.
We have a responsibility.
You have to say that.
Yes.
One of the things I think that is tiresome to me is every 4 years or so, the Democrats are looking to black people to save the election.
Yep.
After not really speaking to us for the duration of their tenure, around election time, they really begin to beat the drum to try to say to black people, this is what we have done for you. And my contention is black people should feel what's being done to them or for them, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we feel a lot of what I think is the antithesis of the progress that Biden is trying to tout, right? They've been touting that the economy is better than ever, and inflation is crazy. Interest rates are through the roof. People can't afford to buy their house. Places like Detroit are becoming unaffordable for people to live in. You know what I'm saying? What is really being done? And I will say this to you: black people don't like his policy on Israel. I think a lot of people, black folks, progressives, we're adjacent to Dearborn, right, with the largest Arab American population in the country, right? They don't like what he's saying because his actions, right, are not lining up with what he has been saying. He's been calling for a ceasefire. He's been really strong verbally against Benjamin Netanyahu and the far-right policy in Israel. And then they just sent, a few $1 billion over there this past week, right? And so we should also say that earlier Sunday, he spoke at the commencement at Morehouse. And Drake, you watched a little bit of it.
Yes.
The valedictorian has something to say.
Yes, he called for an immediate ceasefire, which I was proud of him for. And as you said, politically, he couldn't really go in harder than that. But, I mean, to your point, we never seem to see changes from one iteration of the political cycle to the next. And I totally was in disagreement with Ice Cube in the last political cycle when he said, I'm going to call both political parties to task, and I'm going to meet with both of them to see what we can get out of them. And I thought that was such an asinine thing. I was like, you're never going to get anything out of Republicans. But then recently I started thinking, you know what? On some level, Ice Cube has a point. We may not.
He has a point right there.
He has a
We're
point.
Calling out both parties.
Calling
for
out
sure.
both parties
Yes.
for not doing enough. And not so much that we're going to go to the Republicans because we know that there's nothing there for us. But we certainly
I don't know.
need
There's
to.
a lot of talk about, black men sort of leaning towards
Yeah.
Trump. And you're a black man. What do you make of that? I'm a black man too. I want to ask another black man, like, what do you make of this rhetoric that, because of Donald Trump's trouble with the law and all of that black men are beginning to empathize with him and will perhaps vote for him?
I've read that, I've seen that, and I've heard murmurings of it, and I hope that those things are overstated. I don't know very many black men who have reported to like Trump. Although I've gotten in a couple of Ubers recently where they were listening to him. And I think that Trump does have a certain type of machismo that people can find attractive.
That masculinity,
that masculine energy. And we're talking about contrast, merely contrast, not political platforms, not policies. We're talking about, if you're contrasting Joe Biden with Donald Trump, and you're only talking personalities, which a lot of people, as we know, will just simply vote based on personality alone. You might say, "Oh, let me vote for Trump because he seems like a fun guy." We have to we have to let people know he might be fun or funny. He might be fun to have a beer with, to have a drink with. He is not it's not fun or funny as a president. We already saw what that movie looked like. We're actually living out some of the things that we may not have seen the type of thing. Inflation wouldn't be as high as it is now. Sure. Because COVID may have been stopped in its tracks. Yeah. There would have been no ARPA monies to have to flood the market so that inflation would
so that the
rise.
Economy could keep going.
The economy would have just stayed in a better situation than it has become now. So I hope that that's overstated. I hope that black men, by and large, are still sticking to their guns. And if you're listening to Drake Phifer, I am telling you, vote for Joe Biden. Don't stay home. I know it's a difficult pill to swallow, and I know when you look at Joe, he looks a little lethargic. But we're not voting for
the. Cat and I did not say it.
If you watch, one thing I did notice, and I saw him say at the Morehouse commencement speech, is that he has a lot of Morehouse men telling him what to do. So that should encourage anybody listening to this podcast. Is that there are a bunch of HBCU folks in Biden's ear, and they're not going to let him just go off the rails. So rest be assured, that's not going to be the same with Donald Trump.
The final two things I want to say about it is, the first one is a form of a question, like who anointed Ice Cube to be like this leader of whatever movement that he's trying to lead? I'm not with it. The final thing that I would say is that I want to feel the material change that the president is talking about, but I also think that there is a level of personal responsibility for us to educate ourselves on the policies that are affecting us and that are supposed to be advantageous for us to be able to take advantage of it. All right? Okay, next for hot takes, reparative discussions. Consider how I-375 rebuild will honor historic black neighborhoods. This is by Malachi Barrett at Bridge Detroit. A plan to reshape a stretch of freeway between Detroit's downtown and Lower East Side neighborhoods is more than an infrastructure project. Replacing I-375 with the street-level boulevard also has its implications for economic development and historic preservation, according to planners. The Kresge Foundation was an original investor in planning studies to consider removing I-375 and is considering how reparative justice can be achieved through the project. In March, the nonprofit formed the Reparative Roundtable, a group of 20 stakeholders to devise a strategy for collecting feedback from residents, including descendants of those who were historically displaced. The group will continue meeting twice monthly through the next year. One major question associated with the I-375 Reconnecting Communities projects is how officials will make good on a promise to recognize the cultural significance of a majority Black neighborhood that was destroyed in the 1960s to make room for new housing. An early example of gentrification in action, or slum clearance, urban renewal, whatever you want to call it, Negro removal. The teardown of Black Bottom and Paradise Valley, Drake, we keep it real, you know it. The teardown of Black Bottom and Paradise Valley culminated with the installation of I-375. The Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT for short, committed to exploring how to recognize the significance of displaced communities and businesses. MDOT planning documents specifically name land acquisitions through eminent domain and the resulting highway development as racist. The Kresge Roundtable shared 5 initial expectations for the city of Detroit and MDOT. A, community benefits. B, dedicated space for historical and cultural acknowledgement. C, intentional commitment to tie mobility benefits to economic opportunities. D, people-centered design. E, construction mitigation. And $1.8 million Kresge grant is also supporting the Downtown Detroit's partnership efforts to engage residents and stakeholders about the freeway design and mitigating impacts of a multi-year construction process. Kat, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I have a lot of thoughts about this.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if I ever told you this. My dad actually was born, in 1940, and he grew up in Black Bottom. And I've heard stories over the years just of what it was like and the culture. I feel like that's not talked enough about, is the culture that existed in that place and just what was lost when that community was destroyed. And so I just feel that is so important for people like him and others, the descendants or people that live there, to be part of the process, not just part of the process, but they should be leading the process in terms of what do they want to see, what is the healing, what is the reparative justice that needs to occur. Whenever you have these types of projects, and we've been seeing this across the country. President Biden's administration, the Secretary of Transportation, they've been going around having these...
Pete Buttigieg.
Yes, he's been going around having these conversations, acknowledging how a lot of these freeway projects were inherently racist and just destroy Black neighborhoods. But what's going to happen? So I'm going to hold off and see how this goes, but I just feel like the community benefits, it's not just about the benefits. They need to be making sure that the folks are not just at the table, but leading these conversations and making sure that what they want is what happens.
I'm not going to hold off. I have some things to say, and I think I'm going to say it. First off, like your father, my grandparents lived over there and had to move. A few things that I would say. MDOT is a transportation company or the transportation branch of government. They are not a planning firm. They are not a community engagement firm. And what they did before the project had to pause because of the significant pushback that they were getting was a process that was not equitable, a process that felt very secretive. I live in Lafayette Park, the community, one of the first planned communities in the United States after Black Bottom was cleared out. And you had the freeway, and then you had Lafayette Park, Mies van der Rohe's muse, as so many people like to say. I didn't know what was going on. As a resident, I was unaware and uninformed of what MDOT's plans were when they were planning meetings, so on and so forth. That's the first thing. Okay, Kresge Foundation is convening 20 stakeholders that is doing all kinds of research, having all types of discussion about what could be, talking to all kinds of people. Show us what y'all are learning. Show us the data. Give us the raw data of everything that y'all are collecting. Give us the minutes from these meetings. Who are the 20 stakeholders? What are you learning? Who have you been talking to? Instead of just publishing, and I love Kresge love me. But instead of just saying, or publishing an initial set of expectations, of course there should be, this is a no-brainer, y'all. The residents could have came up with that. Of course there should be community benefits. Of course there should be different modalities for mobile transportation and stuff like that. And of course Black people should have first dibs at planning and economic design. Of course the people should be centered. Of course, y'all, of course, these are no-brainers. People came up with some of this list before the project even started, before they even began to even think about contractors and, all of that. Of course, I want to know what's going on in the meat of those meetings,
you
and
said
that
this is
stuff
not
should be
digging
public.
deep.
It ain't that deep. With the 5 expectations aren't that deep, and these 5 expectations are not new. I've spent my career doing planning and organizing on the East Side. The East Side residents would have been said this. Y'all, it took y'all 20 stakeholders and months of meeting to come out with these initial expectations. I'm calling, and I'm saying something in the milk ain't clean about that. And I'm not saying this Kresge's doing, I don't know whose doing it is. But the other thing, and I did have a conversation with somebody at Kresge about this, a $1.58 million grant supporting community engagement goes to the Downtown Detroit Partnership. It goes to the Downtown Detroit Partnership. What do they know about engaging neighborhoods? Have you heard about them engaging neighborhoods outside of, have you?
No.
No.
And so, and it's a white-led organization, okay? No shade against Eric Larson. I know Eric Larson as well. I like Eric Larson for the most part, right? But what does that say? How are we starting? We're starting wrong. Right?
Status quo.
We're starting wrong. There was a petition of about 500 residents who signed and saying, urging the governor, urging the mayor, urging the MDOT and the U.S. Transportation Department to halt this project because the renderings that we're seeing to people, we don't like it. It looks like telegraph. It looks like they're about to build a telegraph. And imagine how crazy that would be for pedestrians trying to cross instead of the bridge that's already right there, y'all. It's a lot. It's a lot to pack in. I know that it's difficult, but we can do as a city, as philanthropy, as DDP, if you are a stakeholder at that table, we can do hard stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can do hard stuff. And so I want to see this improve. I know that they're probably not going to delay it a second time, but I want to see this improve for folks who need it most and for the residents who currently occupy the neighborhood, Lafayette Park, adjacent to it, right? And on the other side, Greektown, right? What's going to, there's so many things to think about.
But when you say that, it's almost the unfortunate reality is that many of the offspring of those people who were dispersed by that construction are no longer in close proximity to those areas anymore. Yeah. So you may even have to extend your reach, your surveillance, if you will, or survey of neighborhoods even a little bit further beyond just that immediate downtown area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More to come on that, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with Kat Stafford and Drake Phifer.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the Neighborhood Tech Hub, and more. Members who are residents of the East Side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
Have you always dreamed of being on the airwaves? Well, the Detroit Eastside Engaged Podcast Network, or DEEP for short, is here to make that dream a reality. Located inside the Stoudemire, the DEEP Network offers studio space and production staff to help get your podcast idea off the ground. Doesn't take a whole lot of work to get started. Just visit the Authentically Detroit page at ecn-detroit.org or call Sarah at 313-948-0344.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Authentically Detroit. We are here with Reuters global race and justice editor, Kat Stafford, as my co-host today, and the amazingly talented Drake Phifer. We're going to talk to Drake about something he has coming up. Urban Organic Arts and Culture Company was founded in 2001. They curate events and promote visual, cinematic, and performing artists. This Sunday, May 26th, they will host their 6th Annual Diaspora Day Party. This vibrant event will showcase an exceptional lineup of music connoisseurs hailing from Detroit and beyond, offering an immersive journey into electronic beats that epitomize the city's pulsating holiday vibe and beyond. Drake, that's like prose, brother. Who wrote that?
That's good.
I think I wrote most of it. Yeah. I think somebody.
You have a way with words.
But
I don't know if you know that, but you do.
Well, thank you. Well, I hope that my education comes through a little bit.
Morehouse man.
Yes.
Drake, tell our listeners about you. What's the Drake story before we get into what you do? Tell us who you are.
Born and raised in Detroit. I attended a high school that no longer exists, Benedictine High School. Left here in the late mid-'80s to go to attend Morehouse. I finished Morehouse.
You're not that old. In the mid-'80s.
Oh, man.
I'm messing with you.
I'm up there. Well, actually, it was the late 80s. You want me to get it exact? 87. That's kind of, middle-ish. You're like, I was just born. It's okay.
It's all right.
But, so I got to Atlanta and I loved it. Got to Morehouse, loved it. Matriculated through Morehouse as an English major, stayed in Atlanta.
Oh, that explains his way with words. Okay.
Yeah. And finished there, and then I lived intermittently between Detroit and D.C. for a bit, and I returned here in '96. So I've been back here for, a long time now, a very long time.
Almost 30 years.
Almost. I hate to say it like that.
No, say it like that.
I hate to say it like that.
Because you look good, bro.
Yeah.
No, ain't
Thank
nobody saying, you look at him, you are not saying this brother went to college in 1987.
No.
Ain't nobody saying that. Who was in your class? Was Spivey in your class?
Spivey's behind me, but if you know Ron Mims, Ron Mims was in my class. I think Ron is a restaurateur around here. He owns Debo's. He owns a couple other restaurants around here. The leader of Self, who is the president of the Detroit, the Michigan Science Center, he was one of my classmates.
Wow.
And there's a bunch of Daron Buffington.
Oh, okay.
Daron Buffington was a year behind me. Daron is active in the community.
Yes.
And
he's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
I see him everywhere.
Ubiquitous.
So you grew up on the west side, east side?
West side.
Okay. On
Mumford territory.
You went to Mumford?
Oh, no, I went to Benedictine, but I'm saying that was my area. I would have had I gone to public school, I would have gone to Mumford.
Bet. Okay. Who raised you?
My parents. I grew up with my mother and father and my sister. My sister, who is in Baltimore now, who's lived all over the world and has now been in Baltimore for a while. I come from I guess my dad is a lawyer, but he was a practicing lawyer, for 30 years. I like to say that although Dan Gilbert and what's the gentleman that started CompuWare, who's no longer there, the CompuWare building, he's the one who started the development of downtown Detroit, and then he called Dan Gilbert into the fold. Well, my father and his firm were in a book that was put out by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce saying that they were leading the efforts to revitalize Detroit because they had purchased at that time the building that we all know now as the Gucci building. They purchased that building, and they had no windows at the time and breathed new life into it.
On Library
Street. And on Library Street, 1274 Library. They just sold it 6 years ago to Dan Gilbert. And they were, in my estimation, pivotal in changing the course. They were like the cow. There's this story about this cow that lit this fire in Chicago, and it burned the whole city down. Well, they were like the cow that started the fire.
Started the fire downtown.
And, Dan Gilbert comes with the big money, and but here were these, 4 little brothers who were they were all under 40 at the time, who purchased this building, and everyone. I mean, it was. Susan Taylor frequented there.
Y'all know who Susan Taylor is, the
Congressman,
former editor-in-chief at Essence
I know
magazine.
you all know. I know you all know.
Yeah.
Congresswoman Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick housed her office there.
Amazing,
There
an
were
amazing lady.
Wow.
advertising companies, legal interest, all sorts, art gallery. So it was a hub, of black culture and black commerce.
Tell me about the kind of grounding your parents gave you, because your feet are flat on the ground even to this day, and you famous.
Oh man, well, thank you for that. I would like to think that that's has some truth to it. I know my namesake is famous. That kind of helps. The other Drake, but I have always just felt like what I do is for others. I feel like a servant leader in that. My cultural arts in my household has always been a big deal. My mother's an artist. My mother is a visual artist. She started at 70, but she's always been a creative.
Your mother started at 70.
Started at 70. She just turned 79 in April, and so she has more energy than me.
Wasn't it your mother that had the original show when Marlo opened up MASH Detroit? That was your mom, right?
MASH Detroit. My mom was there. My mom was there.
Gorgeous.
She was there. Jessica Caremore and Sabrina Nelson. She was in the mix with those ladies at the time, who were well-established artists. Yeah, who are titans.
They are titans.
And here's my mother at 70. At that time, that was her first year doing it. And at 70, declaring herself an artist. Now she's exhibited all over the country, and that's her thing.
So you I'm sorry, Kat. You look like you.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You majored in English at Morehouse,
yes.
right? How did you get to Morehouse? What made you say, okay, I'm in Detroit, right? One of the blackest cities in the nation. I want to go to another black city. At least it's half black. Maybe it was at that time. To Morehouse. How did you get there?
Morehouse was not on my radar at the time. In November of '86, my father flew me down there, and first thing I noticed is how warm it was in Atlanta. I said, in November, I was like, oh man, it's like 80 degrees. I'm loving it.
Sign me up.
But I got a tour from this guy who ended up becoming a friend of mine later, but he toured me around Morehouse, and I said, I could never recall meeting a guy that young who had that kind of comportment and that kind of presence. And I said, whatever he has, I want that. I want that. And this guy, he's awesome. And I think that going down there and just seeing the culture of excellence in that environment in the Atlanta University Center, Morehouse, Clark, Spelman, Morris Brown, which has actually made a comeback. It was invigorating. And it was exciting. It was eye-opening. And so, in fact, I thought the way Morehouse pumps you up initially, you think that they have a corner on black intelligentsia,
Y'all act like it. You meet anybody from Morehouse, they act like they are the authority.
It was really bad.
On black intelligentsia, for sure. Goodness, great. Can't tell y'all nothing.
No.
So what were you planning to do with an English degree?
Well, I became an English major because I was going to go to law school and follow in my father's footsteps.
Oh, gotcha.
And so, and just take over his firm, which at the time was a very notable firm. But I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. I started seeing, I saw those files. I was like, man, I am not going to be a lawyer.
The legal research alone,
Yes.
Drake Phifer.
A lot, yeah.
Because we have to do a lot of that.
My God,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not fun.
It's intense.
Yeah. So I decided, I said that was not my ministry. And so, and my dad was cool with it. Props to my father, he has always been like, chart your own course. I'm not going to force you to be what I am because I want you to, be happy being what you are. And I appreciated that. And, and sometimes I say to myself, was that the right decision? But when I think about legacy businesses, sometimes I wish he had said, you're going to be a lawyer. But I also look at it, I'm carrying on a legacy of my family by doing the things I'm doing. I think that, my family has been a big supporter of the arts. We've been big arts and culture boosters. And so, you don't just always have to follow your parents' footsteps to carry on a legacy. Now, from a business standpoint, that's a good policy. But you have to have a passion for it. There are lots of people that have taken over their family businesses and then run them into the ground.
But even though you didn't directly follow in your father's footsteps, how did that legacy of what he did, what your mother's done, and also that culture of excellence that you referred to with Morehouse, how did that lay the foundation for what you are now, who you are now?
That laid the foundation for what I am now, in that I have, since 2001, Urban Organic has produced, again, and programmed different mediums of concerts, events, and the like, and has been responsible for boosting the careers of a lot of different people, that I'm very proud of. And I can name a list of them now. People didn't know them, when I first started working with them, but they would know them now because they're touring the world, from P.J. Morton to Ledisi to Raheem Devon.
Really?
Oh my gosh. You started off with the right name, Drake Phifer. Man. So how does one matriculate into musicianship from being an English major?
You know what? Well, one thing I learned about being an English major, you could be anything.
Yeah.
You can be anything. You could be a tap dancer. You can be a, screenwriter. You could do what you want. And I was always taught, if you can read, you can lead, and you can do what you want to do. And so because this is where my interest lied, I just decided to embark on the journey of really doing what I loved. And there was something that used to occur in Atlanta. It used to be called the Funk Jazz Cafe. And
I thought you was going to say the other thing. But go ahead. Go ahead. No, I'm listening.
Oh, no.
Not the other thing.
I have some stories about that.
Okay.
But by the time it got to the point that you saw it did you watch the documentary?
No, I'm scared too.
Yeah.
I don't want to see
anybody that you
I
know.
Any family members.
Man, I'm telling you that it got to the point where I was like, no.
The Funk Jazz Cafe.
The Funk Jazz Cafe. Man, it was this spectacle of an event. I mean, it was triumphant in that, 3,000 people would come to this event and wouldn't know who was going to show up to perform, and they would have the likes of Erykah Badu, Goody Mob, Michelle Ndegeocello, cello.
You're the only person I know who could say that name correctly. That's good.
Andre and Benjamin. They would show up and perform, because it had become such a huge event. And it incorporated art. It incorporated wellness. It incorporated song.
All
it incorporated
modalities.
Dance.
Yeah.
And the guy was my partner. He was my when I say my partner, my buddy. And we ended up doing one here. And I said, man, we need to get this to Detroit. And so I brought it here in '99. It was awesome. And I said, you know what? We're going to continue to do these kinds of things here. And that's what made me start my company, because I just thought that it was something that was missing from the entertainment ecosystem here in Detroit. And I wanted to make sure that, it was something that was impactful. And fortunately,
intentional.
It has intentional.
Yeah.
And I knew that the artist that I knew.
And elevated.
I was elevated. And mind you, these artists were all independent artists at the time. So I really didn't know that they were going
how huge they would become.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Drake Phifer is famous. Listen, we're going to talk a little bit more about Urban Organic and the Detroit Diaspora Day Party right after this break. Keep it locked.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyper-local perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit. By Detroiters, for Detroiters.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the Neighborhood Tech Hub, and more. Members who are residents of the East Side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
All right, y'all, welcome back to
Kojic.
Authentically Detroit. We are here with Drake Phifer, whose dad grew up in what church denomination?
Kojic.
Kojic. He said it right. Y'all would have been judging him if he said it the other way off the air. And we're here with our special guest host, Kat Stafford. Okay, Urban Organic was formed in 2001 and brought an elevated, multicultural, multi-hyphenate art, music experience to the city of Detroit, the likes of which you were able to glean from the city of Atlanta to bring it here. And again, this is culminating one more time for the 6th annual Detroit Diaspora Day Party. First of all, why is it a day party?
You know what? Because, I think that, we just didn't have enough programming in the day. And quite frankly,
yes, I love
I
a day
like
party.
to, I like to,
I
I
agree
like
with
to I like to be in bed by midnight now.
You ain't gonna catch Drake spinning at a
No.
club till 2 a.m.
No.
But wherever you catch him spinning, he gonna keep you dancing all night, all day. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. And Kat and I were discussing, how fun it is to day drink.
Yes.
Have an excuse to day drink
Oh,
during the day.
man.
And millennials love a day party.
Oh,
Sure
come
do.
on now. See, I'm glad.
Because we want to be in bed too, because we at that age now too. It's like, you know what? Stay out to 2 a.m.
Oh.
For what?
Not
man.
anymore.
For what? We got kids.
Oh, man. My nephew's 26. He's like, Uncle Drake, you hang like a New Yorker. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you like to hang up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what time you like to be in bed? He's like, 10 or 11. I'm like, you're only 26.
Wow.
So the Xers got it
Oh,
too.
wow. That's early.
That's early. He said, Uncle Drake, 1 o'clock in the morning.
I get it, though.
You get it.
I get it.
You turn it. What time do you normally turn into a pumpkin when your friends convince you to come out? Because I can't convince Kat to come outside hardly.
I'm tired. I'm tired now. What? 11:30.
11:30 at the latest. It's so funny. There are certain sets that I can go to where they'll keep me out. Drake has the ability. I don't care where he is. I will stay to the end, right? Because just his flow, it's bar none. You know who else can keep me out until 2 o'clock? Ro Spit.
Oh, wow, man.
Ro will
Spit is
keep
awesome.
me out until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they turning the lights on, and I'm like, it's a school night. All right, so talk about the Detroit Diaspora Day Party. It's the 6th one. It should have been 8.
Yes.
Give us the story.
Yeah, I am so excited about this 6th annual Detroit Diaspora Day Party. I don't have to fill in the blanks why we missed a couple of years, but I'll say that this here is going to be an awesome time for anyone that comes out. It will titillate all of your senses. We have, some wonderful food trucks there. We have a diasporic marketplace that has lots of vendors with handcrafted wares. We have a wellness tent that will be there for people that are interested in getting massages or learning about how to keep themselves well, which we know health is wealth, and a lot of times we miss that point in that memo in our community. So that's important for us to have. We have a number of different. We have over 15 different artists that we're going to be displaying and having their works on sale, including some really wonderful upstarts. Oshun Williams. We have Mandisa Smith, who's an established artist, and we also have Senghor Reed and his mother, who is a Kresge Award eminent artist, Shirley Woodson Reed, who will be showing her works as well, which will be available for sale. So I say that, and I'm going to underscore that. And my own mother, Priscilla Phifer, will have, of course, I got to have my mom's pieces in there. She has a piece, she has one piece called The Essence of Pac, an abstraction of Tupac that I've been encouraging her to show because she's an abstract artist, but she doesn't like to do figurative, but this is fly. But one of the things I'm encouraging people to do, whether you are an art collector, if you've begun your journey as an art collector or not, is to make entree into the art collecting world here at this event. Because what you'll be able to do is meet artists who are especially if you're younger and you're just now starting your art collecting career, you are going to probably see these artists. Not only if you like it, it's going to increase in value. I mean, it's something that, if you talk to George Anamdi,
right,
who is one of our very storied art dealers here in Detroit, he'll tell you he didn't start art. He didn't collect art based off of who these people were at the time. He based them off of how much he liked the pieces. And now he just so happens to be sitting on pieces that are $500,000 a piece.
Y'all better get in on it.
And so you can
But
get
you can't afford it no more.
Exactly.
I can't afford Tashi. I can't afford Shifi. I can't afford Mario. Y'all better get in on it.
Get in. I have a sheaf that my mother gave me because he gave her one.
All right.
She got it for me 5 years ago, and he still was signing it with his name, Tashif Turner. I think he signs him Shifi now.
He signs him Shifi now, so that's gonna be crazy. Wow. And I can't even get Shifi to give me one, and we've been friends since the third grade. He like, I got layaway, N-word. But you also have like some panels and talks. Tell us about what you guys are going to be tackling.
We have a panel discussion that is actually sponsored by Detroit Future City. Shout out to Anika Goss for her leadership and over there, and Nicole Brown, who's doing her thing. We'll have Darnell Adams, who's of the Gilbert Family Fund, who will be on the panel. We have Chase Cantrell, who will be on the fund building. Building community value, and we will have Fabiola Flavernell, who is out of Miami, who is a developer who is developing an affordable senior home housing here in Detroit on the West Side, who will be on the panel as well. It will be led by Richie and Clorinda Harrison.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes, and you know what? Yes, that was something that we talked about previously, but I'm so excited that this is going to happen, because one of the things that we know happens everywhere we were talking about, it is gentrification is taking place there. I think I read something like out of the top 50 metropolitan areas in the world, I think there was like all 49, all but one were being gentrified. I'm sure by now that 50th one is being gentrified as well. Detroit has a history that I hope that it will, help us guide this revitalization effort into new terrain that doesn't go the way of Harlem, that doesn't go the way of Atlanta, that doesn't go the way of DC, that doesn't go the way of Hayden Ashbury Street in San Francisco, which were predominantly black areas, but no longer,
and
no
Harlem.
more.
Oakland. I've seen Harlem change.
Oh, Harlem has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that these kinds of conversations in these kinds of environments, because, sometimes you can be in environments that are too academic and too stuffy. I mean, everybody's going up to Mackinac, but everybody can't go to Mackinac, but everybody can come to the Detroit Diaspora Day Party. And you can actually talk to people who are going to impact conversations at Mackinac.
I think this should supplant Mackinac. I think, because Mackinac is so prohibitive, even though it's supposed to be open to everybody, right? I think having something like this is the perfect supplanting of what that is, and its accessibility, its subject matter, its people, its artistry. This is how we conference.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Culture.
That's right. That's
You know
right.
what
Put
I'm
some rims
saying?
on it.
Throw some 20s on it, tint the windows, and we good, baby. This is Detroit. Drake, what are you most excited about?
I am most excited about. I'm excited about our entire lineup, but I'm really excited about my friend Jessica Caremore, who was just recently appointed the third
poet laureate,
the third poet laureate of Detroit. Doing her premiere, she's debuting herself as Jay Sika on the ones and twos, and she came over and practiced over at the house
she good?
yesterday.
Is she good?
Oh, she's real fly with it.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like, she's gonna be good. I mean, I told her, I said, slow it down, Jazzy Jessica. You know,
Jay Sicker. You do you give lessons? Because that's something I want to
That's so
like
cool.
dip my head.
you know what?
Yeah.
So
Because you know what, my therapist is like, Orlando, you need to play.
yes,
And so I don't know. I haven't figured out what my play is. Maybe
Yeah.
this is it.
yeah. You know what? You should. And have you? So a couple things. Since we're on the subject, I mean, have you started collecting art already?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah. So then the
I got a
second
couple of
thing, so you need
sheepies from the $100 pop up.
It all counts.
It counts.
Yes. Yeah. It counts. It definitely
And
counts.
I got more, but
because that was $100 when you got it.
Yeah. I have more. I have more stuff too.
But
Yeah.
it didn't mean it's $100
Yeah.
now.
I got a G Horton, this amazing artist out of Cincy,
Oh, wow.
who has stuff in Detroit on the little digital billboards. His
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
But keep going.
Okay. But yes, I do. We before Marlo passed, we were doing the Detroit. I mean the DJ Selector
The
series.
Selector series.
I would definitely encourage you to be
Ooh,
part
I'm
of it.
scared. I'll
In
do
fact,
it.
Yes.
I'll do it, but I need
Candace
lessons.
has done it.
I know.
Now Candace went hard in the paint.
Candace is dope like that.
She
I
went and
would
bought it.
expect her to
She bought
Kill
a
it.
controller.
see. Look,
So Lauren has done it. Lauren Hood.
y'all are these people. Y'all, this is y'all scene.
So we're gonna get Orlando and Kat.
I'll support.
You gonna come outside that day?
I'll support. That's about it.
But it is very therapeutic. I mean, it's therapeutic in a way that I don't think most people realize. But also too, if that doesn't float your boat, definitely go get your canvas and go get your paint and start that up. Because I like to, and I'm going to quote Brandon Christopher on Brandon.
We
Colvin on
love
this.
Brandon Colvin,
He's-
Christopher, the many names, the multi
right. And each of us an artist.
He
And
says
so-
that all the time.
He says that all the time.
He does.
Doesn't
I'm just
he?
now hearing it though.
Yes.
Yes.
And each of us
An
an artist.
Yeah.
And so I think once we realize that, we unlock the kid in us. PJ Morton has a song called Kid Again.
Yeah.
And I love that song.
And that's what my therapist. Okay, we got to move on. Drake, give people the rundown on how they can.
So yeah,
attend.
we could just meander and get off subject. But yes, the Detroit Diaspora Day Party occurs this Sunday, May 26th. We have the pre-party that goes from 10 until 11:30. That is the Buy Back the Block panel discussion that I talked about.
All
And
of
then-
them are my friends. I'm super excited.
Oh yeah, and then from noon until 10, the bop starts. The bop starts and it goes all the way through. It's going to be a good time. We have some wonderful. I mean, you go places and you don't see. You're not going to the kind of vendors that we have. We've handpicked them. You're going to come there. You're going to see items that you're not going to find anywhere else. So
And it's at the Eastern.
It's at the Eastern.
Do people need to register to come?
Yep. It's at 3434 Russell Street in the Eastern Market. You can go to urban-organic.net for tickets, or you can go on Eventbrite, and if you put in Detroit Diaspora, it should come up. We hope to see you out there. You're going to have a good
I was
time.
just going to show up. I didn't even know we had to get
Yeah.
tickets, so I'm going to get my tickets. I don't want
You
to
can bring your church fans, too.
Turned away at the door. At the door, it's like, where's your ticket? I'm like, I didn't know. I'll see y'all at the church. Kat, really quick, we're happy that you are here. Let's just check in with you. What is going on in your life before we get going?
Settling into this role as Global Race and Justice Editor.
How new is it?
I've been here. It'll be a year in September.
Sheesh.
But I still bring Detroit with me. I'm always trying to find ways to report on Detroit, even in this global platform.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Are you having a good time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm meeting people all over the world, but I'm still able to center our communities in this work, which for me, that's all I'm about. So it's great.
Global. Kat then went global.
Wow.
Give me $20.
Will you stop that?
All right, y'all. If you have more topics that you want discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. Okay, y'all. It is time for shout outs. Let's start with you, Kat. Do you have any shout outs?
I'm gonna shout out the East Side actually,
Hey!
because ever since I took this global role, I feel like I've been able to stay rooted because of the East Side, because of the people that have supported me throughout my career. And it's been so important to me to have my family, my people here rooting me on and letting me know I could keep going far. So shout out to the East Side.
That's right. I love to hear it. Drake, Phifer, any shout outs?
I'm gonna just give. I don't really have anything off the cuff, but I'm gonna give a shout out to Buffs, and I'm gonna tell you why. This week, I've had conversations about Detroit's impact in the world. I saw after we lost our game against San Francisco back in January or February, January, whatever that was. But, I saw where Fabulous posted a post. He says, there are going to be a lot of broken Buffs in Detroit tonight.
Everybody knows.
And I say that more, analogous to the fact that Detroit, for a city of our size, we punch way above our weight. You feel us, and we pollinate the globe, we pollinate the world. People know when Detroit steps into the room, and so shout out to the Buffs that I don't wear, but
Oh man, you have to get. Bestowed.
I got to get some.
Yeah, I
got to get mine. But
yeah,
I mean,
right.
but I just think
Come
I think it's a wonderful phenomenon that we just impact so much from such really think about it, a relatively small part of the world.
We are the culture. And
We are the culture.
I've been saying this, and and I would continue to say it, that Detroit has a stage to the world.
Yeah,
And this stage that we have ain't new.
it ain't new.
It been here.
Been here.
It been here. And
Been
so
here.
I'm excited to be a Detroiter. I'm excited to be a Detroiter from the east side of Detroit.
I got to represent. I got to represent the West Side. Since y'all,
We like-
see,
we
y'all-
We
like-
y'all
should have
both-
just ended it right there.
All right, we
All right,
want
time
to
to
thank
go.
Drake Phifer for coming on. I want to shout out Donna Gibbons-Davidson, my co-host, who couldn't be here today because she's out of town. And once again, everybody, we thank you for listening. We will see you next time.